In today's lecture, we will discuss two topics. The topic number one, which is characteristics of the wastewater, and topic number two, which is water quality standard. So let's start topic number one, which is characteristics of the wastewater. Basically, the wastewater characteristics are classified in three categories. The first is physical characteristic, then chemical characteristic, and the third one, which is biological characteristic. Okay, so the physical characteristics of wastewater, which is again classified into the many types. The first one, which is color. Okay, so basically the color of sewage can normally be detected by the naked eye. Okay, it indicates the freshness of the sewage. Color of the sewage indicates its strength and the age, right? And the fresh domestic sewage is grey in the color, but septic sewage is dark in the color, right? And when industrial effluent is mixed, it gives a characteristics color to the sewage, right? So it is the first characteristics of the wastewater. Now the second characteristics, which is odor. Okay, basically the fresh domestic sewage is almost odorless, but stale sewage is putrid and odor, which is due to the generation of the H2S during the anaerobic condition or decomposition of the organic matters, right? So when the industrial effluent is mixed with them, it gives a characteristic odor to the sewage, right? So this is the second characteristics. Now the third characteristics, which is temperature. Temperature of sewage is depend upon the season, right? So however, the temperature is slightly higher than that of the groundwater. Basically, the high temperature of sewage is due to the evolution of the heat during the decomposition of organic matter in the sewage, right? Basically, the temperature has an effect on the biological activity of the bacteria which is present in the sewage. So the temperature of water in India is about 20 degrees, which is ideal for the biological activities, right? Now the fourth one, which is the turbidity. Okay, so what is turbidity? It is due to the turbidity of water is due to the presence of fine particles, right? And it is measured by the light emitting properties of the wastewater, and it is depend upon the strength of the sewage or the wastewater, and it increase as sewage becomes stronger, right? So this is the physical characteristics of the wastewater. Now we will start the chemical characteristics of the wastewater, right? So basically the first characteristic, which is total solid. Okay, what do you mean by total solid? Basically, sewage contain 99.9% of water and only 1%, 0.1% of total solid at that, right? It can be determined by evaporating a non-volume of sewage sample and weighting by the dry residue left, and the mass of the residue divided by the volume of sample evaporated will give the total solid in mg per liter, right? Basically, solid are the four types. The first one, which is suspended solid, then dissolved solid, colloidal solid, and the last one, which is settleable solid. Okay, first of all we discuss about the suspended solid. So what is suspended solid? Okay, suspended solid, it means that the solids are which is retained by the filter of 1 micrometer pore, right? So they are called non-filterable solid because they are retained by the filter of 1 micrometer, right? So their quantity can be determined in the passing of a non-volume of sewage through a glass filter and weighting the dry residue left. So the mass of the residue, which is divided by the volume of the sample, will give the settleable solid in mg per liter, right? Now the second, which is dissolved solid, it means that which remain the dissolved in the sewage just as a salt in water, right? For example, salt solution, then sugar solution, right? Then next one, which is colloidal solid. Colloidal solid, it means that which remain either in solution or in suspension in finely divided form, right? It is called colloidal solid. And the last one, which is settleable solid. Settleable solid, which settle if the sewage is allowed to remain stable for the 2 hours, right? So that the gravity of this solid, which is very high compared to the water, right? So they are settle into the water. So this is called a settleable solid. Now the second one, which is the pH value. Okay, what do you mean by pH? Basically, the fresh sewage generally alkaline in nature and the pH value between the 7.3 to 7.5. The pH of the sewage indicate the logarithm of the reciprocal of hydrogen ion concentration present in the sewage, right? So if there's an indicator of the acidity or alkaline of the sewage, if the pH value is less than 7, the sewage is acidic, and if the pH is greater than 7, the sewage which is alkaline, right? The fresh sewage is alkaline. With the passed of time, pH tends to fall due to the production of acid by the bacterial action in the anaerobic or nitrification. So however, with the treatment of the sewage, the pH tends to be rise, right? Now the next one, which is the third one, which is chloride content. Okay, so what is chloride? So it is generally found in the municipal sewage and derived from the kitchen waste, human feces and the urinary discharge and etc., right? The normal chloride content of the sewage, which is 120 mg per liter, right? Whereas the permissible limit of the chloride content in water, which is 250 mg per liter. So however, the large amount of the chloride, it may enter from the industries like ice cream plant, then meat salting plant and etc. Hence, when the chloride content of given sewage is found to be high, it indicates the presence of industrial waste or infiltration of the seawater, and thereby indicating a strength of the sewage. And it can be determined by the titrating the wastewater with the standard silver nitrate solution using the potassium chromide as a indicator, right? Now the fourth one, which is the nitrogen compound. So basically, the presence of nitrogen in the sewage, it indicates the presence of nitrogen organic matter in the form of the free ammonia, nitrites, nitrates and the organic nitrogen. Okay, so what is free ammonia? It indicates the very first stage of the decomposition process, right? Nitrates, it means nitrate, it means it is indication the presence of partially decomposition of the organic matter. Nitrate, it means that indicate a presence of fully oxidized organic matter, and the organic nitrogen, it means that it presence of nitrogen before the decomposition is started. So this is the whole four form of the nitrogen: free ammonia, nitrates, nitrites and the organic nitrogen. Now the fifth, which is the presence of fat, oil and the greases. It means that the fat, oil, it is derived from the animals, then vegetable matter from the garage, kitchen, hotels and the restaurant, right? Such matter forms spume. Such matter forms spume on the top of the sedimentation tank and clog the voids of the filter media and affect the diffusion of the oxygen, right? So they thus interface with the normal treatment method, and hence the detection and removal is very important of the oil and grease, right? So oil and grease, which are soluble in the ether, right? We know that. And the hence for the determination, a sample of the sewage, the sample is first of all the evaporated, then leaving behind the oil and grease as a residue, which is then weighted. So this is the process of measurement of the fat, oil, right? Now the next characteristics of wastewater, which is sulfide, sulfate and H2S gas. So basically they are formed due to the decomposition of various sulfur containing substance present in the wastewater, right? It causes a bad odor and corrosion of concrete of the sewer pipe. Then the next one, which is the toxic compound. Okay, so we know that copper, lead, silver, chromium, then arsenic, boron are some of the toxic metal present in the wastewater, and they are derived from the industrial wastewater. Now the next one, which is the dissolved oxygen. Okay, what do you mean by dissolved oxygen? So sewage generally does not have a dissolved oxygen, but if present, it indicates the wastewater which is fresh, right? And while discharging treated water into the water body, it is essential to ensure that at least 4 ppm of dissolved oxygen is present in the it, right? And the DO is the less, then aquatic animal life like fish are likely to be killed near the vicinity of the disposal, right? So the presence of DO is also reduce the bad odor. And DO determination is also help to finding the efficiency of biological treatment, right? Now the next one, which is the BOD, it means that biochemical oxygen demand. So there are two types of the organic matter, right? Biodegradable or the non-biodegradable, right? So organic matter is often assessed in terms of the oxygen required to complete the oxidize of the organic matter to carbon dioxide and H2O and other end product of the oxidation, right? So it is defined as amount of oxygen required by the microorganism to carry out the decomposition of biodegradable organic matter under aerobic condition, right? This is called BOD. It means that biochemical oxygen demand. Now the next component, which is the chemical oxygen demand. It means that COD. So the BOD take a minimum 5 days time, and due to this it is not very useful in control the treatment process, right? So the alternative test, which is COD test, so it is widely used as a means of measuring the amount of organic matter present in the waste. So it can be used to measure both biodegradable and non-biodegradable organic matter, where COD test take a 3 hours in comparison to the 5 days for BOD test. In COD test, a strong chemical oxidizing agent like potassium dichromate is used in an acidic medium to oxidize the organic matter, right? And almost all type of organic matter, with a few exception, it can be oxidized by the action of the strong oxidizing agent, which is the potassium dichromate, right? Now COD, it can be defined as the oxygen required to chemically oxidize the organic matter using a strong oxidizing agent like potassium dichromate under the aerobic acidic condition, right? It is called a COD. So this is the all about the chemical characteristics of the wastewater, right? Now here on screen you can see that the difference between BOD and COD are there. So the BOD, it may be defined as oxygen required for the microorganism to carry out the biological decomposition of organic waste during the under the anaerobic condition and the standard temperature. And here COD, it may be defined as the oxygen required for the oxidizing the organic matter in the sewage by strong oxidizing agent, which is potassium dichromate, right? And the BOD, which take a 5 days, and here COD, which take a 3 hours time. Then BOD test give the amount of biological active organic matter in the sewage, and here the COD, which give total biologically active as well as biologically inactive organic matter in the sewage, right? Then the test is not useful in control the treatment process, and here which is useful for the control of treatment process. Then BOD test is necessary for the domestic sewage only, and COD test, it is necessary for the industrial sewage, right? Then BOD is not determine the strength of the sewage, but COD which determine the strength of the sewage. And the BOD, the quantity of clear water is huge quantity of clear water which is required to perform the oxidization of the organic matter, and COD can be achieved by controlling the amount of oxidizing agent, right? And the BOD value is always smaller than COD value, and COD value is always greater than the BOD value, right? So this is the difference between the BOD and COD. Now we will discuss biological characteristics of the wastewater, right? So here on screen you can see that it is related to the presence of bacteria and microorganism in the wastewater, right? So the bacteria, which is aerobic, anaerobic, pathogenic, non-pathogenic bacteria. Then second one, which is microorganism, so like algae, then fungi, protozoa, right? Then bacteria and microorganism in wastewater, which is helping decomposition of the sewage. But presence of pathogenic bacteria indicate the degree of pollution in the sewage. So it is necessary to kill pathogenic bacteria before discharging into the water body. But most of the bacteria found in the sewage are the harmless or non-pathogenic bacteria. So So they are useful in the oxidation and decomposition of the sewage, right? So the little number of bacteria, however, disease producing pathogens, right? In case of the sewage sample, the routine bacteriological tests as performed for water sample are generally not performed, right? Because of the high concentration of the bacteria present in it. So, but at the time of the outbreak of epidemic, the certain test may be done to find out the type of the pathogens, right? And the biological tests are carried out by the microscope, right? So this is the all about the characteristics of the wastewater, physical, chemical and the biological. Now we will discuss the drinking water standard, right? So here on screen you can see that the table are given, right? First of all the parameter, and the second row column which is the desirable limit, and the third one which is permissible limit, right? So first of all the color, so color, the desirable limit which is 5 and permissible which is 15. Then order, it is agreeable and the agreeable light. Then taste, it is also agreeable. Then turbidity, the range which is 1 and the permissible which is 5. Then pH, we know that 6.5 to 8.5 and the permissible which is not relaxation, right? Then hardness, total hardness which is desirable 200 and permissible limit which is 600. Okay, so here you can see that iron, chloride, then residue chloride, then fluorides, TDS, calcium, magnesium, copper, manganese, sulfate, nitrate, then alkalinity, all are the parameter are given, and these parameters desirable limit and permissible limit are given, right? So this is the water quality standard. Okay, so this is the all about the today's lecture. I hope you all understood about the today's lecture. Thank you for the watching. Thank you.